Get straight. There we go. All right. Welcome back to the Will Is Podcast. How you guys doing, ladies and gentlemen? As you can see, we back with Dr. AE in the building. Yeah, man. So we're gonna do a part two, the battle within, part two. Let me get my tools right up in here. Let's get let's look a little. Let's change a little couple things around up in here real quick. Get my banners showing. All right, we good. Mm. All right, we all right now. All right, so check it out. The battle within part two. Man, the battle within part two. It's you know how you eat something hot and that your gum kind of be like get hot and pow, burn you a little bit. All right, y'all. Let me see. Let's check it out. So we're gonna run through the same whip moments like we do when I like to have Dr. A on the show. So the battle within has to do with everyday task, including um, external um, pressures, external challenges, external um, conflicts sometimes, if you know how to avoid them. But the battle within is just how you handle those situations every day, day in and day out, moment to moment, um, second to second. Because, chaos can happen in a split second. It don't take long. It don't take long for something to just get completely out of your damn hands. So the battle within, we're gonna try to help you deal with that. Because the first question you always gotta ask yourself, the first whip moment, what do you know? What do you know? How have you came up with what you know? So a lot of people associate things with what they believe with what they know. And I think that's an extremely horrific mistake, understanding the values of two different words that mean two different damn things, but they are often associated with each other for no damn good reason. But it's just how that belief has been kind of placed in the way or kind of mask itself as something that's really prevalent when it's not. It's just a gift of a lie. So, Dr. AE, mm, can you tell me when I break it down? I want you to tell me what does it mean when I say what's your interpretation and from your perspective of what I mean when we ask the alumni, what do you know?
Well, what you know is what you have learned and digested from bringing in information. And the problem is we can have solid information, verified information, or we can have false information.
Right, for
Now,
sure.
the other problem is when you were talking about what we know versus what we believe. The issue is what we know has a much better chance of of uh, of developing, right? And getting stronger and
Absolutely.
this, that, and the other because what we know can change easily with more information, right? We learn something, uh, we do things, we can look at medicine, right? There were diseases that would have killed us 100 years ago, 150 years ago. Now we take a pill for, we take a shot, some of it's gone in a week, right?
Pretty much. Yeah.
But the problem is with the belief
Mhm.
system is the hardest system to change. So if it is something that we have that is based on misinformation,
Mhm.
then we can get stuck on that misinformation because we want to believe, right? And
Right.
I'm just gonna call it like it TIS. This is why Trump has been so effective because he goes
Yeah.
after people's belief
Yeah.
system, right? He goes after people's belief systems. And these
That's what he
people
do.
want to believe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. For
They
real.
want to believe. Some of them need to believe. Now, whether they need to believe for their own self worth, self value, or even some of them believe at this point, and I'm still just using Trump as an example. Some of
Sure.
them still believe at this point because they have no choice. Their survival is now dependent on it, right? And I give you a good example. I've seen on social media, and people have sent, um, someone rather has sent me a couple of examples on social media where these people are going to grocery stores, particularly Walmart, and they are just walking out of Walmart with food because
Mhm.
Trump said food was going to be free. He said it. And they
Yeah, he
just
did.
and they needed that,
They
right? They
just did it.
need that. They needed the food. They needed to believe that
Uh,
food was about to be free. So you got people
yeah.
who have walked up in stores, loaded up their buggy,
And walk right the hell out.
and crying because they about to get arrested. And they're yelling, Trump told us, he said it's free. He said it's free. So that's just an example, right? Um, and that's the thing about it, right? People once it taps into their belief system, um, anything can almost be given, anything can almost be told, anything can almost be said, and people just buy into it. And so
Wow.
that's the difference between knowing and believing, right? Because if you know
Hmm.
something and then more information comes along, then right, that
Hmm.
that can change for you. You know, as other information that's definitely undeniable is presented, right? If it's presented, then it can change.
Pretty much.
But that belief system is something else, and it just doesn't always just pan out that way.
That's
Uh,
right. That leads us to the next whip topic, the whip moment. And that's very similar to what we're talking about now, but it's the play on words that we always got to use. And that's what don't you know? See, a lot of people they assume, like, again, like Dr. A and I was talking about, they assume that their beliefs are facts or something that they absolutely like. I absolutely know this. I know it, but they don't focus. They'll say that, and the question was posed is, what don't you know? And people will still associate that with the same question. Hey, E, go ahead and elaborate on that, please, sir.
well, that comes down to the willing to want to take in information now, right? And that really goes back to the belief, right? Because you don't want to change what you really want to believe,
It's it's
right?
it's a conundrum for you.
So,
It's
right. So you'd rather reject new, valuable, or even undeniable truths
yeah,
than
yeah,
accept these facts, right?
mm-hmm,
Because it's what you want to believe, you know.
yeah. It's wild. So
And
that. Oh,
it
go ahead.
gets
You got.
pretty bad. No, I was just thinking it gets pretty bad for people at times,
Yeah,
because they're
yeah,
living their life and they're making life decisions based on these things.
yeah. So that gets us to the next moment. Who taught you that? Who taught you? Who taught you the things that you know? Have you? I mean, we know, like I was explaining on part one. I was explaining that it's my mother birthed me and she taught me some things. I learned from my sisters. I learned from my grandparents. I learned it was so many people that had so much to do with my upbringing, and my development. But if you, as you know, if you specifically, I believe, asked my mom, she'd act like she did it all by herself, and that's impossible. But it's I can go, I can being realistic. I can tell you who taught me specific things, when they taught me, and when it became a development in my life that became something great, and it had nothing to do, and sometimes it had to do with my upbringing and outside of my upbringing. But
Hmm.
what just elaborate on, what I'm saying, when people don't understand, when they don't have to, just, if you learn anything, who taught you these things, and what are they about, what is the validity of them? So go ahead, Doc, go ahead and elaborate on that, sir.
Well, that's the thing, right? It's the understanding that learning has to continue, right? It has to be continued and nurtured outside of the home. It has to be continued and nurtured outside of the structured education systems, right?
That's right.
And so anyone can teach you something, but yes,
Hmm.
you must be you must be cognizant of, and you got to be aware of where you're getting that information from and who's teaching you that information, right?
Hmm.
Um, some people are teaching you that information because they truly do care about you. Some are just sharing knowledge because they love to share knowledge, and that's fine too. And then some people, let's call it like a TIE, is they have an ulterior motive, and
Ooh.
they're giving you this false information. And what's funny is I'm seeing more and more this, and I think it's a good conversations to have. It's more and more conversations about male female relationships within the black community, right? And how we
Oh yeah.
can deal with how it got to
Yeah.
be so adversarial, right? And so in those conversations, right, we're finding that women are giving women much more advice than men, right? Men aren't giving each other as much advice as women, and that's kind of human nature. Men don't share the way women share with themselves,
Right.
which
Right.
not to say that's a good thing all the time, because women women seem to share something much more at a much greater capacity that is good than men, and that's health issues, right? They talk
Oh
about
yeah.
health things. They'll talk about something that's going on with their body that's not right with each other,
Yeah.
and that's good because
Hmm.
then they know how to go to
That
the
is a good
doctor and
thing.
talk about it,
Oh
and
yeah.
what questions to ask and all of that good stuff, you
Right.
know. And so that's not to say because women share more than men that's a bad thing, because it can be a good thing. But what we're finding out in terms of relationship is, they're giving a lot of this relationship advice when
Mm.
when they really shouldn't, right? And
Right.
the problem is women are taking relationship advice from single women. Too much relationship advice from a woman that's not in a relationship. And that's definitely, that you really got to take that with about, forget a grain of salt. You got to take that with about 10 tablespoons at least, right?
Uh.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
because if you're not experiencing something, and there's something someone once told me, and I didn't get it until later in life. But when I first got married, right,
Hmm.
um, they said keep people out your business. They were like, yeah, everybody, include your own family, include your own parents, keep them out your marriage, right?
I agree with that.
And
Yeah, I
yeah,
absolutely agree with that.
I do too.
I agree.
Now, my marriage, went bad, and I ended up in a divorce. and all of that good stuff. But in
Mhm.
hindsight, going forward with my relationships that I have had since my divorce, I keep that
Mhm.
now as a golden rule. You know,
Whoo!
I keep it as a golden rule because and you
Mhm.
know, hindsight is sometimes it's not even
20,
2020, it's 1010. You know
it's
what I'm
10, 10.
saying? Um, and I realized that that
Oh,
was, that was something that we should have kept on both sides, her and I,
oh yeah.
in the with my ex-wife. And so again, going forward, I keep that, right? So it goes back to understanding where this information is coming from, what
Mhm.
information you are gathering, right? The
Mhm.
source, and how much of the information are you getting for that particular subject, right? In other
Right.
words, are you always getting the pros and cons, or are you always getting another viewpoint?
Mhm.
Because you really do. It's taught at a certain level in academia, right? That you take the question, right? You go into research and you may have your predisposition, but you can't hold on to that predisposition, right? You have to
You
just
can't.
gather the information and let it lead you, right? So you're going to get one researcher that says this, one researcher that says the other thing, right?
References.
And
Yes.
the thing about it is, in my field, in history,
Mhm.
it's always there
Yeah.
because you can have an event,
Mhm.
but you can have a multitude of perspectives from that event. And they're all relying on the same information. It's just coming from all of these different perspectives, right?
That's
And for
true.
me, I've always gone in looking for the black perspective because we've been taught from grade school all the way up, we've been taught, let's just call it like it
And
is,
others.
we've been taught the white perspective and
That's
how
true.
they see
That's
things
a
and
fact.
how it was.
Even how things are written down.
And the
This is why
writers,
my
right?
next and this is why the next what moment is since it's the battle within, it's called why is there a battle within? You can go first on this one. Why is there a battle within?
Well,
You already
the
hot on it,
battle
so keep going.
the battle within is being able to deal with these two opposing sides of this same thing, right? And understanding what is the truth between it. Here's the undeniable truth. Now here are the two perspectives. Now,
Hmm.
is this perspective completely wrong? No. Is this
No, can't say that.
perspective completely wrong? No. But you have to find the medium in between because the truth is only the basis, right?
Hmm.
The interpretation is always on you, and that's why I'm saying in history is quite evident, right?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Here's the thing, and I'm gonna give you a good example, right?
Hmm.
On a black radio show, I think it was it was a clip from I listened to a clip from the Breakfast Club, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And they were talking about how some people have attacked um ICE, right? And how you have minority ICE officers, right? Black and
Uh-huh.
Latino ICE officers, and how you
Okay.
still have to respect them and this, that, and the other, and ICE and all of this. And in my mind, no, I'm
Mhm.
like, well, wait a minute. We were taught all the way up through grade school, right? That the regulators, right? And the quote unquote patriots who kept fighting against the British soldiers and the British tax people And the British government authorities, they were the heroes. They were right. But they were breaking the law now, weren't they?
Absolutely. They were
So,
breaking the law.
that's a prime example of the perspective, right? The information
And what
is
did the British?
the information
What
is
did
the
the British?
same, right? The British, those soldiers were just there to enforce the what? The laws,
The
right?
law.
And so, how is that different from if we said these ICE people are there just to enforce the law? But see,
But
we
they
say
are.
the law, right? But now we say, oh, the law was wrong, right? The law was wrong. That's why we had the revolution and this, that, and the other. Well, we know for certain, right, that these immigration laws are being put together falsely and they are being applied
The whole time.
illegally,
The whole damn time illegally. And
right?
that was who? Who did that? Who did that? And who been doing that?
And
The
that's the
Democratic
quote
Party.
unquote. I'm sorry, I keep moving on you. I got to charge my phone up a little bit, but
I got you.
that's the whole perspective thing, right? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Those British soldiers were just doing their job. Now you saying these ICE are just doing their job. But we've been taught the whole time that the British soldiers were the what? Were the bad guys. And
Bad
that it was
guys.
okay to attack them. It was okay.
Slap them all up. Yeah.
We even
Yeah.
we even put them in the annal, those who fought against them in the annals of history as
Mm-hmm.
heroes. The
Yeah.
regulators. We were taught the regulators all through almost every year we had to take civics, right? We had to hear about
Yes.
the either American history or civics. We had to hear about the
Mm-hmm.
regulators. Now, the
Mm-hmm.
regulators, why? The question then becomes those who attack ICE right now, why aren't they the regulators? You see, it's the perspective,
It's the narrative.
it's the narrative,
The narrative.
it's the narrative and perspective.
Yeah. So I just want to say one thing. The next moment is happy birthday to my Marine Corps brethren. I salute to you again for the night, for the second show. Happy birthday to the United States Marine Corps. Of course, I've served as a veteran, and I got a lot of brethren out that I serve with. So, peace, blessings, and love to my Marine Corps brethren out there for sure. All right. Next moment. Uh, I think you're gonna like this one, AE. Not knowing is abuse and misuse. I'm gonna say that again. When a person doesn't know, doesn't wish to know, I feel like that is abuse and misuse. It's abuse and misuse of your time, your efforts, your words. You know, it's abuse because you enforce and push your and you enforce and push your beliefs off on other people. I think that's very cruel. I think that is extremely backwards thinking, and I think it leaves no room for development and conversation. So, you go ahead, AE. What do you think about not knowing is abuse and misuse?
Well, it's first of all, it's contradictory to your own growth, right? It's
Absolutely.
contradictory to your own self growth. Is contradictory to your own advancement. You know,
Hmm.
enlightenment and otherwise, right?
Absolutely.
Now the problem then comes when you take that though and you push that on somebody else, right? That's where the real problem is because it's your choice. Your life is your right.
That's right.
If you want to, if you want to stay in that enigma or you want to believe in that belief system or you want to hold on to those misnomers and um unfactual things that are going to stunt your own growth, that's fine. But the
Right.
problem is when you go and put it like you said, and you start spreading it to other people, and you know, and that was the whole thing that I had a problem with them talking about um that the Charlie Chris died for a different belief. No, he didn't die because he had a different belief. He died because he put those negative beliefs out there, and he was part of a system that we may even find out that was a conspiracy against him. New
That's right.
evidence of that may be coming out soon. But
Well,
the
he was
fact
manipulated.
But the fact of the
That's
matter is, regardless of that, the fact of the matter
it's
is,
out there.
he took that information and he
And
put it on other people, and he influenced other people and all of that. You know,
yeah.
that was the problem, and that's just the example that I'm using. The problem, like I said, is not if you want to believe it, because life is your right, right? If you want to believe that you are superior because of your skin tone, that is your right. That's your life. But
It doesn't
if
affect me.
you start going to the polls and voting for people who believe like that so that they can do things against people
To
that
hurt
don't have
people.
your right, don't have your skin color, now you cross the line.
That's right. It's a problem.
Now, if you want to sit on the couch and believe all that you want to believe and curse at the TV and curse at the computer, phone, whatever mode you using to watch things, that's fine. That is your right. Life is your right. But when you take it where it directly affects other people, then that's the problem.
Next what moment, last what moment. Belief can be perceived as wrong, but lying is worse. So you can, as we've been discussing the whole time about that belief thing, is extremely dangerous. It's um it's a rough one, but lying, blatantly lying, false statistics, and doing things that are just extremely flagrant that hurts other people. Lying is just worse. Dr. AE, go in so we can get up off this show.
Well, lying then brings out something else, right? It just talked about what we're saying. You're doing something to purposely either hurt that person or
Mm-hmm.
make sure that you have done something where the truth may hurt you, but you don't want to face that reality, right? You don't
Right.
want to face the truth. And so that's where the lying comes in, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
lying again, just like we just said, right? Now you have stepped out of, because it's fine to lie to yourself.
It's cool.
If you want to lie
But
to
when that's
yourself, you lie to yourself. But when it
that's fine.
goes outside of you to another person and it affects them, that's when you violate it, right?
That's it.
That's when you violate it. It doesn't matter whether it's a personal thing or politicians lie, whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
right? Whatever
That's
it
it.
is.
That's it. So check it out, guys. That's the show tonight. Glad that my brother. I'm happy, and I'm glad that my brother Dr. AE can jump on with me. It's been a few days. We got to get rest. We have very busy lives, and we do a lot. So that's the show tonight. AE, you got any more last words to add about this show or anything else? Got a plug? We got the books. Hold on one
Yeah,
second,
I was
y'all.
gonna say I got some plugs I want to do.
All right, we got to get some plugs in here. All right, we got to get.
First plug is while you reaching for my books and whatnot. The first plug is I want you to keep up with my social media, Prof. A.E. Dixon, for different lectures, different speaking engagements. I may be in your neck of the woods, so by all means. And some of these lectures and these speaking engagements are via Zoom and through other modes of through the internet. But keep up with me. By all means, join me in these different speaking engagements. Now, the books you just saw, the first one was Up From Incarceration. That one was the timeline of the African diaspora experience in Florida, which is basically Black History Timeline in Florida, and then my one that I'm
It's downstairs in my
encouraging
other
the
spot.
most. Okay, I got one right here. Then
There you go. Show it. Pick it
the
up. Pick
one
it up.
that
Pick it up.
I'm encouraging people to go and get the most right now is this one, Florida
Yes, sir.
Negro War, because we are doing a documentary on the Black Seminoles, which includes the creation. These people and their ancestors created, their direct descendants of people who created the first Underground Railroad. And then they go on to conduct the largest and most successful slave rebellion. It takes place in
In
Florida.
history.
And
Yes,
so
sir.
I encourage you all to go to blackseminoleproject.com, follow us, support us as we continue to tell the Black Seminole Project and the Black Seminole story, but also keep up with us as we tell these different stories that give the history of Black people, period,
That's what we do.
contributions, and different events, even from the Black perspective, especially when
Yes, indeed.
it included us and it was about us to begin with. And so we tell these stories to correct history. We tell these stories to provide the perspective and the Black perspective. And we tell these stories for our own growth in the community and for our young people to be empowered and enlightened, and any other person to be enlightened and inspired to go on and do things where you think you can or you think Black people don't. We have. You just didn't know about it, but it's all right because we're going to tell you about it.
Damn right about that.
God bless.
So check it out.
One love.
So check it out, y'all. You can follow me on the Wheel This Podcast. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I'm on YouTube. Of course, you see me right here. But you see me, I'm also on Facebook. And also go to the wheellesspodcast.com and check out some check out how to advance your inspirational journey. Also, if you want to get some merch, Wheelless Podcast merch, it's gonna be broadcast pretty soon and with. So it's a lot going on. My campaigns are coming soon. And I'm telling you, me and Dr. AE, we're gonna continue to come on. There will be more guests as well, but we're gonna continue to keep bringing you top quality content. So check it out. It's my favorite part of the show. Say it with me. You know what it is. The wheel is yours.
Will is yours. Again, God bless. One love. Thanks for having me.